Well, welcome everyone again to another workshop here at the Test Camp. This is Test Prep Reading, and today we're going to discuss the knowledge and skills that will empower your test confidence. Those of you joining us live online, you're welcome to contribute your comments during the discussions. And if you're joining us on demand, probably through that Test Camp YouTube channel, well, welcome to you too. Of course, you can pause and restart or replay that video anytime. Now, this workshop is part of the Test Prep series, which focuses on single subjects for standardized test. The Test Skills series combines subjects and helps you become a better all-around test taker. A great place to start if you're new to the Test Camp. If you want to learn more about teaching, the Future Educators program provides that opportunity. You get admission to all three areas with your pass. The motto here at the Test Camp is prepare, practice, perform. You're beginning to prepare here today in this workshop. Practice the testing skills while learning content at our training areas, then expect to perform with test confidence. Let's get started. To prepare at the Test Camp is to gain knowledge about the test and yourself. It's the first step in becoming a skilled test taker. And we start by learning the test blueprint, which provides all the information you need to fully understand a test. It's also the first step in creating what we call my study plan. Now that's a schedule for reviewing and studying test content. This plan will guide you through the Test Skills Training Center also. Our first step, however, is to identify what types of reading questions you can expect to encounter on your test. Not the question format. We know that all the questions are formatted multiple choice. We identify the reading competencies, the competencies on which the questions are built. On this test, there are 4. We'll look at each one individually here today. Now that first competency is ideas. Questions based on this competency test your knowledge to identify inferences, conclusions, and assumptions. These are what you find up in the passage. Now here's a sample question related to ideas. You see up there at the top, you're going to get a typical passage like this one is the Gettysburg Address, and down there at the bottom is a typical question. Let's take a closer look based on the competency. Pretty straightforward and easy to recognize as a question related to ideas. Here's a second sample question from that same passage. Note that in this case the question is related to only certain statement in the passage. Alright, so those were examples of questions written to test your ability or your competence to identify key ideas and details. The next competency is purpose. To determine the author's purpose, or sometimes called the focus, just ask yourself why. Why was this passage written? Here at the Test Camp, we help you identify the 4 main reasons. Can you think about what they might be? All right, here's the first one on our list, and then in just a moment at your tables, we'll let you give it a try too. All right, what other words are similar to opinion? All right, belief is one. How about over here? Go ahead. Viewpoint, okay, and one more time, what is point of view? Okay, so I'm hearing belief or viewpoint, point of view. And when you write an essay, you might be given a prompt that asks you to express an opinion or your point of view. Well, let's take some time to discuss this again at the tables. Opinion is one of the 4 main reasons for writing. What do you think are the other 3? Share your thoughts with each other. See if you can match our list of purposes for writing and the prompts you might expect when you write an essay. We'll come back as a group and compare your ideas. Hey, for those of you joining us today live online, share your thoughts and we'll include them in the discussion. And if you're joining us on demand by the Test Camp YouTube channel, this might be a good time to pause the recording and list some of your thoughts about how you'd categorize purposes. Think about why this might be important when preparing for a reading test and for preparing to write your essay. We'll be here when you restart the video. Okay, well, welcome back. Let's start up here. Let's take a look at the 4 main purposes. In this sample question, they're kind of all given away for you. You see them represented up here? All right, notice that there's 2 main categories, argumentative and informative. The first argumentative purpose up there is opinion. That's when you want to express a certain viewpoint. But the second is persuasion. Did any of your groups have this one? How many had persuasion? Oh, pretty much everybody. Okay, so how is that different from opinion? Somebody want to, and I'll repeat your answer for those listening to the recording. Yeah, I like that. Okay, good. Wow. Persuasion is a call to action, is what she's saying there. A call to action, more than just providing your point of view. Very good. All right, well, here's a sample question from that same passage we saw a moment ago, the Gettysburg Address. Is this question argumentative? Well, sure it is. It includes the author's opinion, right? So that's how it works. All right, there's also, though, two informative reasons to communicate. The first is simply to provide information, maybe when you want to tell somebody or you teach or provide some facts or concepts. Those of you who are planning to be a teacher might know this is called direct teaching. The second way to be informative is to provide an explanation when you want to describe how to do something, like to give directions or instructions. Here's another sample question. See if you can catch what's different. All right, anybody see it yet? Yeah, there you go. Right. Instead of asking about the purpose, they might use the term focus. There's an activity in the campsite that provides practice on determining the author's purpose or focus, or why they wrote the passage. So you'll see that over at the training center. Now, we discussed purpose in more detail in the essay workshop. So let's move on to the third competency, structure. You might remember from the English classes or from our workshops that these are the main concepts associated with structure: modifiers, parallelism, and syntax. So do you remember these? They're all related to how authors structure or organize and build sentences or passages. And here's some terms related to structure. The author creates structure or organization by being literal, figurative, or in some cases, technical. Again, let's take time to discuss the meaning of these terms. What does it mean to be literal, figurative, or technical? Share your thoughts with each other. How would you explain these terms if you had to do it to a younger student? All right, come up with some examples as you can. We'll come back as a group and compare your ideas. Hey there again, those of you joining us today live online, please share your thoughts again, and we'll go ahead and include them up here on the discussion boards. Appreciate that. And if you're joining us on demand by the Test Camp YouTube channel, this might be a good time to pause that recording and check your understanding of these writing tools. Think about why this might be important when preparing for a reading test, or for when you might want to write an essay. We'll be here when you restart the video. All right, let's go. All right, so back up here. All right, welcome back. All right, good discussion at the tables. We're now more clear about these tools, right, that are used by authors to organize their writing, to create structure. Literal, let's do them. Let's run through them real quick. Literal, the author means exactly what they say. Is that what you're saying? Figurative, the author asks the reader to make the connection, to understand. And technical, they're simply providing information or an explanation. All right, so we're all on the same page with that. Let's go ahead and take a look at some sample questions. All right, so this is a typical structure question. We're going to start down there with it. You see what the question is. Why did the author put these two phrases together and in this order? That's what you're going to be asked, that sort of thing. Okay, so let's read the two phrases up there that are numbered in bold, right? All right, so now maybe we can eliminate some of the answers starting at the bottom. We could eliminate contradicts, couldn't we? That doesn't make sense. Sentence 2 does not contradict sentence 1. What else could we eliminate? Yes, we can eliminate restates. So that leaves us with either clarifies or expands. All right, so which do you like best? All right, though that's a question answer, which also provides a preview for the next pass through the test. So you see how that works. All right, the fourth competency is vocabulary, which you likely recognize if you attended the English or the writing workshops. These are the skills used by test builders for this competency. All right, they are the meanings of words, the selection of words, and the correct pronunciation or the diction and tone. Here's an example. All right, so of course you're going to be given the whole passage, usually 3 to 4 sections, paragraphs if it's an essay, stanzas if it's a poem. But again, you can see why answering vocabulary questions on the first pass through is going to be valuable, very valuable for time management, right? You can also expect to be asked vocabulary tools, like this question about an idiom. All right, so that's an overview of the 4 competencies that are used to construct test questions. Let's discuss a test strategy suggested by those who've gone before you. You can expect each passage to have several questions, generally at least 3. Did you know that? Okay. Yes, sometimes more than 3 for each passage. All right, what does the strategy mean here? Passage or question? What are we talking about here? What do you think we're talking about? Back there, go ahead. That's right, where do you start? So this is a time test, one of the few that demands good time management. So do you read the passage and then try to answer the questions? Or do you read the questions and then go up into the passage, right? So what was the strategy before this workshop? How many here, by show of hands, let's be honest now, you begin by reading the passage, then you answer the questions? All right, good. How many start with the questions and then you go up the passage, all right? Thank you, thank you. All right. Well, so that's your current personal strategy, no problem. This sign appears on many of the pathways here at the test camp you're going to see. The sign indicates a message of encouragement or gives directions or suggestions from those who have gone before you. Right? They've done the training before you, many have taken the test. And according to them, the greatest challenge will be to decide how to invest your time. Their suggestion is to read the questions, or at least skim through the set of questions before reading the passage. And here's why. There are 4 types of questions, right? We just looked through a few examples of each type. Some questions are less challenging. They require less time. So the suggestion is to invest your time on the less challenging questions the first pass through the test. And 2 types of questions are less challenging. Can you figure out what they are? Those questions are generally structure and vocabulary. Investing time on these questions on the first pass through the test provides a preview to each passage and puts you on a pace for success. This test skill is called Decide over at the training site, but we'll get to that. So that's a brief overview of the competencies or the types of questions you can expect in your test. What do you know about the percent to pass, which determines the total number of correct answers you need to pass? All right, well, the percent to pass required in most states is in the low 70s, sometimes even lower. And if your test would have 40 questions, the score required then would be 30 out of 40. And why is this important to know that? Let me hear anybody over here. What are you thinking? Why would it be important to know that you can miss 10? So that you don't freak out, okay? Right, so that you don't get stuck, right? It's all about time management, yes. And people who know how to take tests, they know the importance of focusing on finding the questions that they can answer efficiently. This is a pass-fail test, so the objective in this case would be simply go find your 30. All right, that brings us to the next discussion section. Which would you choose? If the entire test was built on just one of these competencies, what's your preference? A 40-question test on just one of these competencies. All right, can you recognize key ideas? Are you pretty good at finding the purpose? Or are you better at determining structure, figuring out why the author put certain phrases or sentences together? Or is your preference vocabulary? All right, you talk about this. What if you could have a test with 40 questions based on just one of these competencies? We'll come back as a group and compare your ideas. All right, again, for you folks joining us today live online, share your thoughts and we'll include them in the discussion. And if you're joining us by the Test Camp YouTube channel, this might be a good time to pause the recording and list some of your thoughts about which one you prefer. All right, think about that. And we'll be back in just a few moments when you restart the video. All right, up here, everyone, you had different preferred topics, but everyone agrees that more time is invested answering questions that are about the key ideas and the purpose than structure or vocabulary. Just good time management. All right, so to prepare for this test, you join this workshop and you gain knowledge about what to expect. Another way to prepare is to select the tools you might need, the best and most reliable resources for guaranteeing your success. So expect to see this sign along the pathways again during your test skills training. Encouraging messages are posted by those who have gone before you, and in this case, the message is avoid spending your time and avoid spending your money on expensive resources that you just don't need. Commercial websites are a good example. Avoid paying for free test information and strategies. Expensive tutors and tutoring companies might be an option for more challenging tests. And beware of the overpriced study guides is what they're saying that are out there sold for profit. Have you seen these? Yeah, many of the study guides are either free or inexpensive for this test, so no need to go out and spend a lot of money on those. A more effective and inexpensive resource would be textbooks. Now that you know the competencies being tested, you can use textbooks to review and study the test content. Also, over at your training site in the My Resources area, expect to find the most popular and up-to-date tools for your success. Again, many of the resources are either free or very inexpensive. And I think what they have up there now, none of those cost any money. All right, so instead of investing time and money on resources, they're suggesting to invest in yourself. Practice your test skills. Expect to gain confidence. Expect to gain personal independence. Your pass provides admission to these training sites, and up there on the top you'll see is My Test. That's the activity that helps you check your understanding of the test blueprint and everything we've discussed here today. You can also take a pre-test before the training. This is the test camp problem solving system. The first step to finding a correct answer is to identify the type of questions by competency. That should sound familiar, right? We've been doing that here today. Over there in the quizzes and tests, you're provided an opportunity to practice your test skills while assessing your test content knowledge. Quizzes are based on the competencies, and questions and answers change randomly on each attempt. Tests are constructed with features like you can expect to find on test day. As you complete the training exercises, earn points toward a professional test certificate. That will guarantee your success. Then expect to perform with confidence that comes from the knowledge and the skills that you get during your training. All right, let's get started. There's no better time than now to empower your test confidence.